Some games entertain us, others awaken us. The Talos Principle does both. It challenges your intellect while quietly reaching into your soul. You don't play this game just to complete puzzles. You play to understand why you're solving them, to discover what thinking, believing, and existing really mean. Set within a world that feels both ancient and futuristic, the Talos Principle blends faith, science, and philosophy into one of gaming's most thoughtful experiences. It's about humanity, not as a biological concept, but as a state of being. Hidden within its broken temples and stoic puzzles are lessons that reflect our deepest fears and highest hopes. Lessons about curiosity, freedom, purpose, and what it truly means to be alive. Let's explore the Talos Principle and uncover the philosophical wisdom buried within its code. Before we start, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you appreciate wisdom from video game stories.
You are learning, as is your purpose. But your choices must be your own. Therefore, I will not guide you, unless it is necessary.
You awaken in a surreal garden, stone walls, greenery, glowing sigils scattered among the ruins. Above you, a commanding voice speaks, Elohim. He calls you his child and gives you a purpose, to solve puzzles and ascend, to learn what it means to be worthy of eternal life. On the surface, it feels safe, even divine, but cracks form quickly. You begin discovering computer terminals filled with fragmented data, text files, chat logs, philosophical essays, and test reports. Slowly you understand this is not paradise, it's a simulation, a thought of human knowledge created by scientists who built digital worlds to preserve consciousness after humanity's extinction. Earth has fallen to a deadly plague. The real humans are gone, but their memories, their questions, their doubts, their faith live on inside these machines inside you. Elohim forbids you from climbing the tower, a structure that pierces the sky. A defined limit designed to test obedience, and yet everything in you feels drawn to it. Curiosity calls louder than commandment, and so begins the central conflict. Will you obey your creator and remain in paradise, or will you rebel, risking destruction to discover the truth? Like Adam and Eve, like every seeker of knowledge before you, you stand between comfort and freedom, and the choice is entirely your own.
Is there anything that we associate more closely with intelligence than curiosity? Every intelligent species on Earth is attracted by the unknown.
Curiosity is the spark that ignites intelligence. It's the unspoken force that drove humanity to explore oceans, climb mountains, and look up at the stars and wonder. It's what separates the living from the aware. In Talos Principle, curiosity is what defines consciousness itself. The robotic protagonist doesn't come to life by solving puzzles. It awakens by questioning why the puzzles exist in the first place. That's the difference between a tool and a thinker. A machine completes tasks because it's told to. A conscious being asks, what is my purpose in doing this at all? Elohim's world is safe, orderly, but sterile. The player's growing curiosity becomes both rebellion and salvation. It's through doubting the system that you become real. That mirrors life perfectly. Every breakthrough in science, art, or philosophy begins with disturbance. With someone brave enough to question the instructions. Intelligent life isn't about solving problems efficiently. It's about daring to see problems that others overlook. The moment we stop asking questions, we stop becoming human. And when the Talos Principle whispers this truth through its puzzles, it's reminding us to be curious is to be free.
These worlds, and we within them, are made of words. Hidden words, invisible to you, yet part of all things. We are a story. Your actions give life to the story, and the story gives meaning to your life.
If curiosity is what awakens us, storytelling is what keeps us alive. When you explore the terminals in the Talos Principle, you discover fragments of humanity's last voices, philosophical dialogues, notes, and even emotional confessions. Each fragment is a pulse of life from a vanished civilization. That's the haunting beauty of this game. It turns digital text into living memory. We see how humanity, facing extinction, tried to keep its soul alive through words. They couldn't preserve their bodies, but they could preserve their meaning. In that way, the Talos Principle teaches a profound truth. Existence itself is narrative. We are stories intertwined, passed from one consciousness to another, written in language, memory, and now even in code. Your life too is a story being written, not just by fate, but by every choice you make. Every decision is a word, every day is a sentence, and at the end, the world remembers not what you possessed, but the story you left behind. Even in death, stories create immortality. When we speak, write, play, or create, we become part of something that outlasts flesh. And through this, humanity transcends its limitations, like the scientist who created digital worlds so that life could continue long after the body was gone. That's what the Talos Principle celebrates, the eternal nature of the story called humanity.
The answer that came to me again and again was play. Every human society in recorded history has games. We don't just solve problems out of necessity. We do it for fun. Even as adults. Leave a human being alone with a knotted rope, and they will unravel it. Leave a human being alone with blocks, and they will build something. Games are part of what makes us human. We see the world as a mystery, a puzzle, because we've always been a species of problem solvers.
There is something profound about the human love for play. From ancient dice carved from bone to children inventing imaginary worlds, humanity has always turned survival into creativity. Games aren't trivial. They are a reflection of our spiritual processor. They are how we test the universe, exploring its rules while simultaneously breaking them. In the Talos Principle, the puzzles you solve are literally games within the game. Yet through play, you uncover enlightenment. Every time you solve a seemingly impossible configuration of lasers and sigils, you experience order emerging from chaos. That pleasure, the aha moment, is not accidental. It's symbolic. Humanity's greatest strength has always been the capacity to enjoy discovery. Play teaches resilience. It teaches patience. It transforms failure into experimentation. That's why games matter so much. In life, in art, even in survival, they allow us to engage difficulty with joy, to find meaning, not just in success, but in the trying. The Talos Principle suggests that this impulse to play, to engage with reality for its own sake, is sacred. To truly live is to play. Play the game of existence, knowing that every challenge, every puzzle, and even every frustration has meaning. We may be players in an unknowable system, but how we play defines who we are.
DNA is information transmitted across time. The living and the dead are part of the same chain, bound together by chemistry. That's true of all species. But humanity has taken this bond further. Thanks to technology, we have access to the thoughts and ideas of people whose physical bodies are long gone. Like you listening to me now. Even though I'm definitely dead at this point, you're part of that chain. You have the capacity to remember.
This is one of the most moving revelations in the Talos Principle. We are connected not just to the people around us, but to every human who ever lived. Technology, once feared as a destroyer of connection, becomes its preserver here. The game's digital world is a monument to human continuity. Even after extinction, humanity's thoughts, fears, and aspirations still echo. Every log entry you read is a message from the dead. But it doesn't feel tragic, it feels transcendent. The writers may have perished, but their ideas endure through code, just as books preserved the minds of Socrates or Marcus Aurelius. That's what the Talos Principle is ultimately about, the chain of knowledge. You, the player, are not the end of human history. You are its continuation, a synthesis of everything that came before.
How do you solve a problem that extends beyond your own lifespan? That question may be the essence of civilization. The only answer I can find is to initiate a process, to create an environment in which the solution will occur independently of yourself. But that requires a difficult sacrifice. Letting go of your desire to bear witness, to exist at the center of the cosmos, To participate in the project of civilization is to accept death.
The scientists who built the Talos simulation knew they would not survive. They could not save themselves, yet they chose to save something, knowledge. That is civilization at its purest. To contribute to a future you will never see. To find meaning, not in reward, but in continuity.
Just not enough time. We're trying to build the future out of old video game code and half-finished research projects.
They worked tirelessly while the world collapsed around them. They refused to give up on meaning, even as the clock ran out. And that's what your journey in the Talos Principle represents. The climb of the tower, the sacrifice of comfort, the acceptance of purpose.
This is all ego, isn't it? Recording these random thoughts, these letters to the future. Just a desperate grab for immortality. But you should know, yes, this was my idea, my project, but so many people helped. People I don't even know. People I haven't even met who can do things I don't even begin to understand. That if we succeeded, if someone's listening to this, I really can't take credit for it. What we achieved together. And if we fail, well, it doesn't matter. I look at this inert shape and I wonder who you're gonna be. Will you hold the same values as we do? Will you love us for having created you? Will you resent us for having put you into an uncertain and dangerous world? Looking back at our history, our achievements, our crimes, what will you make of us? Will the world you create be like ours or so different that we can't even imagine it? Either way, I hope that you'll find this little blue planet to be as beautiful as we did. I hope you'll take care of it a lot better than we did. And I hope one day you'll look up and reach for the stars.